you for making the time today, people who are watching live, and for those who are watching on the replay also. Thank you for joining today for the latest webinar. I think this is the most excited I've been for a webinar, because obviously the topic is very timely. And what we'll be talking about today is using AI to build intuitive apps in days, not months. We tried to make the title not so hype, but with some of the tools and things that you can do right now, it's really exciting. It's very fast moving. So we thought we wanted to do a session and just show what we've been doing internally on projects, the tools that we've been using. And today's going to be very much a demo. So it's going to be a little bit of introduction, but then we'll be walking you through the exact process. So how do you go from an idea through to a strategy, through to an architecture, and then build it using AI tools. So I'm Lawrence, I'm the product strategy and revenue lead here at Stoked. And I'm joined here by Hans. Hans, if you'd like to introduce yourself as well.
Yes, thanks for joining everyone. My name is Hans. I'm the founder here at Stoked, and I lead the delivery team and the product architecture work as well.
Cool. So for those who aren't aware of Stoked or have just heard about us a little bit, I just want to do a quick intro. So we design and build digital solutions, so that's apps, platforms, largely for B2B companies, primarily on the more complex end of the spectrum, whether that's internal platforms or for something that's market facing as well. We have been named the top UX provider in Denmark. We have a full service offering, and we also still have a 5-star client rating. What we're covering today and why we're so excited about this is what we want to do is just to give a brief background on the impacts. Obviously, there's probably you've been playing with these tools yourself. So we want to be talking about how that's impacting it right now. What are the changes that are happening in terms of the tooling, etc. How that speed of development it's not just about speed, it's about the new opportunities and some of the challenges there. And then most of the session is going to be a live demo of a real platform concept that we built in, I think it was half a day, right, Hans? So we'll be showing you the process we went through, the strategy through to the architecture, and then actually building it in code. So you'll see the process, the tools, and the workflow as well. Which is basically is a very much a demo as well. So just as a quick background, just to sort of set the scene, make sure everyone's on the same page. So the key messages and the key points we want to make today and one of them is that coding is really no longer the blockage it once was. So software developer hours in our world, they were always the largest cost. They were the biggest blocker. You needed lots of developers, often working very long hours to build something to market, to bring something to market. And with AI, so developers now have exponentially more leverage and output, and thus building is faster than ever. So this is one of the key points. Coding is no longer what we believe is the blockage in terms of building or building software. Before, we'd be thinking in timelines of months, years, large teams of developers, designers, marketers, just to bring a concept to market. And obviously that would be 6 or 7 figure budgets minimum. Now we're in a world where timelines are in days and months. You can have very lean teams, you can have lean budgets. And as an example, last month we built an internal accounting tool to help with our accounting process. That took us a few days. Before that would have taken minimum 3 months, tens of thousands of dollars in cost just in the time that it taken to plan it and to build it. So I think that's another really key point as well. This is not just about speed. I think there's a really big a big shift in how we approach what we build, how we build it, why we build it, and then what's possible within that. And like I said, the new opportunities that come as a result of that. So those ideas that you have never pursued before, maybe because the risk was too high, or maybe the ROI wasn't justified, like with the accounting platform that I just gave. We wouldn't have built that before because it wouldn't have really justified the cost. And then it also overcomes this problem of a low risk tolerance for innovation because the cost before was so much higher. There was a lower risk appetite because, well, obviously, if it doesn't work, then that's a lot of money that was wasted, right? So all of these new opportunities, all these micro SaaS ideas, all of these things that you couldn't really do before or were too risky, they're all back on the table. Plus, there's this really interesting concept that the idea of putting up with like say clunky enterprise level software where everything's based on a seat or credits, and it does 50 to 60% of what you need it to do, but there's a lot of problems there. There's a lot of maintenance. Is that entire concept now at risk? I mean, I don't want to say SaaS is dead. I think people have been saying that, but I think there's going to be an evolution. It's just where does that evolution go when you can build something that's very personalized to you quite quickly. So the new ROI equation will be low cost, high speed, and then high upside. In terms of the outlook, I think that the emphasis really is going to shift to product strategy, not so much on the coding. So it's what we decide to build. This is going to be really key. With whom we build it and for whom is going to be more important than ever. I think that's where more of the time and differentiation is going to come. And so that's things like product strategy, customer understanding, go-to-market. These are probably going to be more blockers than actually building the application going forward, because there's going to be such a speed of innovation. It's like, how do you stand out? How strong is your idea? How well do you understand the customer? And how effective is your go-to-market? And that cheaper execution point is also really impacting the sales and marketing side as well. I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but if you open up LinkedIn or many marketing channels right now, there's a lot of noise there because the exponentially easier way that you can do output. So I think attention is going to be harder to get. So therefore, the customer understanding again is key, and then the value adds will be the core differentiator, and you only get that by understanding your customer and then building the product strategy relevant for that. And here's just a diagram of what it was like this before, but I think it's just a lot faster now. You would have the core strategy, you would have 2 strings of growth and then product. You would ship them to market, learn, that goes back into the strategy, and then that iterative cycle would happen over months. We think that's probably now going to be weeks, based on what we're going to show you today. Do you want to touch upon the challenges here? I think that we're going to cover 3 challenges and then go into the demo, Hans. So this is probably a good lead up for you.
Yes. So thank you. Thanks, Lawrence, for giving the intro. So I believe all of us have been using AI. Some of us use it on a daily basis for various tasks. And I think we all encounter what in the past was used to be called prompt design or prompt engineering. Is now, once we move to more complex setups and building applications and products and solutions, what they refer to as context engineering. So how do you feed the right information to the AI at the right time to get it to build the right thing? If you feed it too much, it starts hallucinate and build things you don't need. If you feed it too little, it tries to fill in the gaps and the result becomes the same. So it's this dance and figuring out how do we give it the right context. I think, Lawrence, we have a future topic for a webinar here in how we deal with that. But this is a challenge, and with new AI models, the challenge at times seems they behave a little bit different, and the prompts need to be tailored and changed a little bit based on that. Good. I think we lost Lawrence. I'll just continue. Yes, then this is related to the same thing, the guardrailing. What we are used to when we work with computers and software is that the things are deterministic. So I give it an input and it gives me the same output every time. The calculator gives the same output, calculates the same thing, the systems work the same. This is not the case when we work with AI. I don't know if any of you tried, but if you give the same prompt to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever you use, and you try it multiple times, it gives you different results, gives you different replies. And this is the same challenge when you deal with building products using AI. We see some AI models that are now coming out, they're working on where they become more deterministic and give the same output. That will have its own challenges, but this is one of the challenges that we are facing right now. And I think we have Lawrence back. Welcome back, Lawrence. A last challenge also related to these things is AI will build what you ask it to build. It won't ask you questions, it won't challenge you unless you ask it to challenge you, and then it won't really challenge you, it will just go along. So I think we've all tried this when we work with AI. It comes back, you say, well, this is not correct, this is the correct answer, and it then says, yeah, of course you're right, this is the correct thing. It does the same thing when you build applications and products. This again, all of this comes back to the context engineering. But I guess we should jump into the demo of it. Let me do a bit of screen sharing here. This one, let me see. Yes, so I'll just start here by showing a little bit about the background, the work we do before we jump into the tools we use for building these things. So first we start with a product strategy. Some of you were maybe at the webinar we had last year about product strategy. It sets kind of the foundation about who are we building it for, what are we building, etc. And then we work on the product architecture. For the demo here today, we can't really show any of the client work we have ongoing, but we made up this concept of this product. We call it the Counterparty Hub. That's a solution for onboarding and lifecycle management for counterparties. So customers, suppliers, partners. There's a lot more compliance in the market these days than we had years ago. So this product is a B2B self-service portal that simplifies and centralizes onboarding, compliance, and lifecycle management of counterparties. It's for medium to large financial service companies and trading companies in Denmark, Europe, to expanding into broader B2B industries for managing regulated counterparties. So this could be know your customer acts. It could be ESG, CSRD, that you need to get information from your customers or your suppliers to make sure that that they follow certain regulations, etc., etc. And in the strategy we looked at, there's most likely a lot of manual labor in that. So this is a made up product, a made up solution. From this is just part of the strategy. It's longer document, but won't go into the details here. From there, we build a feature map. So for this, we need some features around managing the counterparties. We need some onboarding features. We need the compliance management, so tools for initiating that these counterparties need to send data to us. And then there's also some user management and other features. So I highlighted here, the dark blue features is what we took as the initial scope for the product. So creation of counterparties, creation of templates. So that's kind of a list of data the counterparty needs to hand over. The initiation of data collection. So we have a new customer or a new supplier, and they need to share their bribery act material and how they avoid bribery, or how they avoid child labor, or what it might be. So initiating these templates, and then the user management. Then in the product architecture, we also work a lot with what we call an object model. So that's essentially saying, so we have counterparts in the application. Well, what information do we have stored about these? What are the actions I can perform on these? We have some templates. What does that cover? And all of this is work that we highly recommend you do before you dive in, so that you get clarity about, well, first of all, what is it that I'm building and why and for who? What will the functionality, core functionality of it be? And what would the core content of it be? From here, and these are just drafts, but from here, you need to start somewhere and building the simplest thing first. Where we usually start is by looking at what will users have access to and what's the core content they'll have access to. So in this demo that I'll show in just a bit, we built that we have internal users that will be managing the counterparties and setting them up and initiating these data collection processes. And then we have the counterparties that will be informed and have to log in and provide these data. So where we start in this application is we start with the user management, build that part first. together with the management of counterparties, because then we have the core components and the core building blocks for the application. Yeah, from here, we make an initial prompt for, we use a tool called Lovable. There are a lot of different tools out there, but we highly recommend Lovable as a good starting point. And I'll show you the details in just a bit why. We create an initial prompt. This one was built together with ChatGPT about what is it that we built. This is one of the areas that Lawrence, we have a lot of work to do in figuring out how we give the best first prompt to the AI so that it sets off on the right direction rather than building stuff that you don't need. But here we give part of the content from the strategy, and then also part of the info about the counterparty management. What does it include? What does the user authentication need to be, etc., etc. Good. So I think before we dive into Lovable, let's see what we managed to build in 3.5 hours. So here's the demo of the application, the Counterparty Hub, where we have companies management. So we can create new companies in here. So let's create Ørsted. It's a lot in the news these days. It's one of our customers. It's from Denmark. I don't have the CVR number, so let's just make something up. It's in energy. And then we put in the name of the contact. I'll just put something in here. Good. Now let's sort by name. Now we have Ørsted in here. It's a customer that's created. This page here we have the search functionality as well. We can search first. I think also we have Maersk in here as one of our suppliers. We then have invites. You see that now an invite has been sent to Nameson here from Ørsted. We can resend. You see Lawrence is signed up. I'm signed up. Here we also have the full search and everything. And we also have user management if we need to add more users into our internal team in here. Good. Then we build the functionality to set up the content we want to collect. So this could be some of the sample content, ESG, CO2 disclosure, that they need to share emission data with us, scope 1, 2, 3. Some of you may be familiar with that. Policies and governance, what's the ESG policy document? Some of them are required. We can add new fields in here. And the last thing we built is what's here called packages. Not really sure about that name yet, but this allows us to pick a company, let's say Ørsted, and we need them to disclose their ESG. That starts today, and we'll give them a month to do it. It then creates, based on the template, the package of what is the data, is the data they need to share with us. Good. Then we also have the external facing. So let me just, because I need to switch tabs. Here, I can actually let me just log out of that. So here I log in as an external user that works with this Helsinki innovation. I also need to disclose the ESG. Now I don't claim this is the best UX in the world. Again, it was built in 3.5 hours, half a day, but they can report their emission data, 100 tons, 200 tons, CO2. I'm not sure why it says that. But let's say they have 4,000 tons here. We mark this one as complete. We see some progress. But the nice thing about this is when we then go back in here, let's find Helsinki. We actually see, as the other user logged in, now these fields have actually been completed.
So if you change the tab, Hans, we're still on the ESG.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Did it share it back now?
Yes, yeah, it's back.
Good. Let me just show that. So if we search here for Helsinki innovation, we can see that the emission data are synced in here. So all of this application is hooked up to this backend called Supabase that was also defined and configured within those 3.5 hours with invitations. Some of you may know how to manage databases. So this is a full SQL database set up with row level security and login authentication, owner's rights, access rights, again, within those 3.5 hours. So obviously the prototype here that we built is quite rough. It doesn't have the best UX. There's flaws in it. There's issues. But this is a very good starting point. And this is where, if we build this in a client project, now would be the time to get this for feedback and iteration and discussions. In the past, we would have done, at Stoked, we would have done wireframes, and no chance we would have been able to do wireframes that would cover this many features in half a day. There's a lot to cover, and yes. Any questions before I move on? I don't really see the chat. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat. I'll move on then to show a little bit more about how Lovable works. So Lovable is the tool. I'm gonna need to switch the tab. Lovable looks like this. This is the tool that we use to build in most projects. It's a good go-to tool for you guys. It integrates with Supabase. As I said before, Supabase builds the backend, or Supabase is a hosted version for the backend. It has database. It also has backend functions you can build in there. It has limitations, but you can get a lot of stuff done. And Lovable will then build both the front end and the back end, the data models and the algorithms that runs on the back end as well, with you in the same interface. So maybe we should actually try that. I'll just copy that prompt that I showed before, paste it in here. Now I won't connect it to Supabase because I need to set up a new project, but then you paste in here, and then it gets going, and it starts building, similar to what you know from ChatGPT, etc. I can show where we're at now with the current prototype. I'll just log in here. So here it's very nice. You have the application that I just showed you before in the browser on the right hand side, and you have the prompts over here. Oh, thanks. You see the tab now. Before I was sharing the full view, but anyways, sorry about that. Here you have the view on the right hand side, where you have the same web page that I showed you before. It's shown inside the view here, and on the left hand side you have your chat, same way you have ChatGPT, and you can then prompt it to add new features or to change functionality. And you see up here is the long chat history with it. Yes. Any questions from anyone?
I would just like to make a comment that I just think it's insane how you can come in the morning, have your morning coffee, and before lunch have a fully working app. It's just crazy. And another thing about
one disclaimer. The 3.5 hours, that was for building the product, spend a little bit of time, obviously also on the strategy, the feature map, and those things. And I spend a little bit of time afterwards on getting sample content in here as well.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I mean, I alluded to that in the intro. I think that the part before this really depends on the speed of the code and actually building the platform and getting this right. I think it's basically on the quality of the information that you have up front in the context of it. But as a second point here that we're showing this right now, I think that what's going to be really important is that you can actually, as long as you get that bit at the beginning right, the strategic part, or whatever you want to call it, the context part, and then you can build a prototype like this very, very quickly. Then I think the game it's a game of iteration. So it's like, okay, you need to get it in front of people, whether that's your colleagues or whether that's customers, etc. And then you iterate from there. So you could be working on simultaneous products at once, theoretically.
Yes.
Going forward.
Yes. Agreed. Some recommendations from our side in this, because you can use as I did here. I gave it the prompt. Okay, it says it wants to get a Supabase integration. It didn't build anything yet, but you can work with the Lovable. I'll just go back and actually share the entire that one. It didn't build anything in that prompt. It asked now for the Supabase, setting up the Supabase integration. But within Lovable, you can build a lot of stuff without having the Supabase integration, without setting up your database and everything. That will get you started faster. But the big risk for you, or the big issue for you, if you don't have the Supabase integration, is number one, login is not a thing. You can't have anyone login. Well, you can fake a login screen, but you can't have multi-user support. So that's one thing. A second thing is the AI tends to make up content. So we use these AI tools also for building quick prototypes at times, but the management of content becomes much more complicated, because on one page it will show one address in Denmark and Copenhagen or wherever, and another page for the same data it will show a US address, and you end up spending a lot of time fixing the small little details that if you set up the database, you're in control of your data. I can go in here and change Lawrence's name to Lawrence S, if that was the case. And when I go back into my application, I'll just take it in here. Let's see. Should have maybe I didn't save it. I didn't save it. Anyways, you're then in control of your data, and it's a lot easier. Okay, not sure why that didn't work right now. It usually works. You're in control of your data, and it's a lot easier to see where did the view get that particular data from, without having to sit and fiddle around with a lot of prompts and say, okay, please change this to that, etc., etc.
I had a question, Hans, of this was actually asked earlier and thrown in by Gabriella. Can you use this process on existing apps or platforms, or just to build new software?
Yes. Yes and no. So you can use a tool like Lovable. If you have an existing backend, you can plug it into that backend. You need to share what the APIs look like for the backend. You could either have Lovable hooked directly into the backend, or you could have Supabase act as a middle layer there between your backend and your data, then have authentication and user login. This is what we did for that app Lawrence talked about before for the monthly accounting processes, and then have Lovable interact with Supabase and have Supabase interact with the other backend. If you wanted to take that other backend and pull that into Lovable, that's not possible. Then you need to go with another tool within the market. There's a lot of different tools. wide suite of different tools you can pick and choose from the very easy ones. You can do some of these things that we showed here directly in ChatGPT and Claude as well, and get early prototypes going. But if you want to, on the more advanced side, you need to go for tools that are built more for developers with a developer focus. There's tools like Claude has their tool Claude Code. There's a tool called Cursor. There's a product called Warp, W-A-R-P, and they'll be able to plug into the existing code base, and you can get them to run through and index your code base, and they'll be able to understand the code base and continue working on that. That they would work on any language. So whether it's JavaScript, .NET, Python, what have you. Yeah, so existing code bases, you would want to go with one of the other platforms. What we also do in some projects is we started in Lovable because you have this very interactive experience of writing things on the left side, seeing what happens on the right hand side. If there's a bug, it will identify it automatically and try to fix it. Like, I mean, if there's a coding error, it throws an error in the application. If you move to some of these more developer focused ones, there's a lot more things to set up because they're tailored to developers that want to set things up in the way they are working, and it's much more flexible, but more work is required. Yes, thanks for asking, Gabriella. A few other disclaimers, maybe. I'll just share now. I tried to scroll up to find some of that. What Lovable also does here, it shows you database changes. So it writes SQL statements that it will run against the database to set up things. They can be a little bit difficult if you're not a developer to understand what does this actually mean. I then highly encourage you to I didn't know this when I got going. I knew some things, but by far not all of it. But when you have Lovable on one hand, it tells you, okay, I want to do these things. You copy that SQL statement, paste it into your ChatGPT or Claude, and have them help you understand it and say, okay, please explain this to me as a non-developer. What does this actually mean? And that allows you to go on a learning journey with these tools as well, so that you learn on an as needed basis rather than trying to take a course and build an application that you didn't really need anyway. Start with a real need and then learn from there with the other tools available to you. Cool. Any other questions? Don't hold yourself back. Anything you'd like me to go over again or show, or maybe we should try to add a feature in here. I guess we have time for that, right, Lawrence?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Good. I'll just do something. I haven't tried this before, but and it's not really a new functionality within the app, but maybe some people would like us to have a dark mode support within this. Right now it's all great. Actually, one more thing to add: the UI Lovable builds always looks like this. It uses the same component library behind the scenes, and there's obviously work to be done to get this look more on brand. If you have right now it's very functional driven, so this we consider these wireframe level. But let's say we wanted a dark mode. We could just write, please add dark mode, toggle to the sidebar, switching back forth between normal and dark mode. Also implement styling of dark mode. Good. Well, actually a feature I'll show, it has this chat mode as well. That when you enable that, you are chatting with the AI and it then proposes what to do. And once you're satisfied with that, you can say, okay, please go ahead and implement it. If you don't enable chat, it will just interpret what you say. It may then ask questions back. It may not. And if it doesn't, it will just go ahead and implement whatever you asked it to do. Let's see what it says. It says no. Good. Yeah, it has next theme. Okay, there's some issues running it. You see, it reads through the code. It figures out, okay, it uses this dark mode already defined. And then it says, okay, here's the plan on what it wants to do. Import and wrap app in this, create dark mode toggle, integrate toggle with app sidebar, hence dark mode styling if needed, test integration. So, okay, this sounds good. Implement the plan. Now it goes ahead and does these changes. So we see Lovable and other tools in the space. They build what you ask it to build, right? You can ask it for feedback on the UX as well. You can ask it for feedback to review the code base, the code quality, and it will give you feedback on these things. But it's not a UX designer. It's not a software architect. It's not an IT security expert. It does what you ask it to do. So be aware if you, okay, now it's done. Let's see. Good. And now we have dark mode support within the app. It won't do like contrast analysis. Does this follow accessibility guidelines, etc., etc. You have to ask and you have to prompt it for that. And as we said before, it's not deterministic, it's probabilistic. It will do an analysis of your accessibility or IT security or reusability of components within the code base, but the analysis will not be 100% right. We don't know that. It will give you 80, 90%. You then have to bring your own knowledge to the table as well, and make sure. So before you release features of applications like this, please consult with someone that knows about security, so that you don't get into cases where you have data breaches or things like that, because there's now a lot of applications being built on tools like Lovable. Lovable was in the process of, I think we agreed to have this webinar before the summer holidays, and since then turned out Lovable has been the fastest growing startup ever. It grew faster than OpenAI did when they launched ChatGPT. It's crazy. So these tools are now highly targets for hackers and the people that with ill will that will find the vulnerabilities in these applications, because there's a lot of apps being built by it. So yeah, be aware. I think on that very positive note, I'll end the demo here. I'll leave it on the dark mode, and yeah, hand it back to you, Lawrence.
Yeah, cool. If there's any questions about that, I think just drop them in and we can address them after. We've also got if you want to take a screenshot of those tools that we discussed, so Lovable and Supabase were what we used in the presentation. And then, as Hans mentioned, for more advanced use cases, you're going to look at things like Cursor, Claude Code, Warp. There's new stuff coming out all the time for different segments and verticals. And then a lot of them as well are basically based on the core models like Claude or ChatGPT, so they hook into them, and then but they're very specialized into a very specific thing. So when you're actually building as well, being able to integrate with AI as well, the base model is also, yes, you're able to do that as well.
Yeah, yes, I didn't say that. A lot of them use Claude behind the scenes. Some of them use ChatGPT, and some of them allow you to switch back and forth between AI models if you want to.
So just in terms of like a wrap up here, I mean, we've discussed a lot of stuff there, but I think what we really wanted to put across today is that it was like, it sounds quite hypey, you know, go from months to days, but this is really something that we've done, we've seen. You know, it's rough. There is a lot of caveats there, but I think that what we're trying to say is that the model it will evolve and it has changed. So you can now build things in days. You can ship them to market. You can iterate based on that. It's not just about speed as well. It dramatically widens up the scope for what we can build in terms of what we discussed before. You know, the ROI may have not been there before, but the ROI is there now because you can actually get it out a lot quicker. Judgment, clarity, and context is going to be key. So we said the big switch is it's not going to be about code. It's about to the product strategy, or whatever you want to call it. People sometimes don't like the word strategy. It's about judgment and context engineering. So you could do things really, really quick, but what are you building? As Hans said, you need to tell it what to do in order to get the result that you want. And you need to be very clear about that. So that part before strategy, architecture, that's going to be very key about what are you building, who are you building it for, and how well do you understand the problem that you're solving.
And your feedback loops, obviously, right? So I see this, the mental model or the analogy I sometimes use is you need to cook dinner. You need to cook something in the kitchen. There's a big difference in what a chef will cook and then someone who never cooked before will be able to cook just from the same recipe and the same ingredients. There's a big difference in what that final result will look like, but there's also a big difference in what the kitchen would look like in that process. There's a big difference in how many people will cut themselves in that process. The tools are there, but as you say here, I think judgment is a big, it's the skill you bring to the table in guiding the AI and figuring out what direction should we take this. Now it took, I don't know, 2 minutes to implement that dark mode theme, but was that the best thing for the product? I don't think so. It was a quick thing to add, and it's easy to see what was built. But yeah, so that judgment piece becomes very critical and very important. Just because it's free to add features, it doesn't mean that we have to add features. That's not necessarily the best thing for the business or for the users or for the product or for user adoption of what we are building.
Yeah. I think the third key takeaway as well, based on that, is that new ideas and models are now viable that were not viable before. So you can build the highly personalized, I don't know, CRM systems if you want. You can build highly personalized project management systems if you want that fit you. Or you can come up with new micro SaaS ideas that may have had a big impact on a small number of users, but maybe the ROI wasn't there before. Now that calculation is completely different. You can go for more risky concepts. There's a big long tail of micro SaaS or smaller digital offerings that can be done with this. And then, like we said before, the foundational models are available to even integrate AI functionality within those ideas as well. And that's actually quite easy to do also. We actually, in terms of how this has impacted us, so we are basically going to switch now, and we can say that we will do a 30-day sprint. And remember before I said about timelines, it was months, enable to go up with the strategy or the idea and then to plan it all and to design it and to develop it. We believe that we can get an MVP done in 30 days. So we're launching something called a 30-day MVP sprint. So it would be 10 days of strategy, 20 days of strategy and architecture of context, and then 20 days of build. And then it would be a monthly iteration going on from there. That's what I think that basically a prototype in 30 days is the offer. I think that we could probably say that you can get all of this done. You can get a fully coded app at the end in 30 days that is actually market ready for feedback, that's designed probably to your brand. And you can get that like a full innovation developed team for around the same price of one full-time employee per month. So that's how it's impacted us. If anyone's interested in that, let us know. End of pitch there. And that's the end of the presentation. And I just saw Niels, you've commented. Thanks a lot for the presentation. Yeah, thank you for joining.
Thanks for joining us.
Found it insightful. Thank you. Yeah, impressive. Oh well, I think our enthusiasm is quite clear on this one. It's just incredible the stuff that you can do right now, and the pace of innovation. As you said, Hans, we planned this just before the summer, and then so much change that we had to change the entire presentation. But by the time we got here, which is September, so in those few months, we had to significantly change based on the pace of innovation. So this is changing all the time, but it's the track forward. I think is exciting. And
thank you, Valentina, for joining. Any questions? Anything to clarify? We have a little bit more time. If anyone sits with anything, let us know. If anything comes up after, you can just reach out either to Lawrence or me on email or phone. And we are happy to answer any questions you may have.
This presentation also will be sent around after. You'll get the video to rewatch and share.
Yes,
because there's a lot of people on demand as well.
Yes, also for the ones who are watching this on replay, reach out if you have any questions. We can't answer them when you watch this. So
awesome. Thank you, Niels.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Lawrence. It was a pleasure hosting this with you. And looking forward to the next one.
Definitely. Yeah. Thanks for joining, everybody. And
thanks for joining, guys.
See you next time.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.